Aloha! What a beautiful morning here. It's warm, super low tide, almost no people, so calm, mellow, almost like sensual energy in the air. And after our journey through vulnerability, self-love, self-care, we are actually talking about pleasure today, because this is a very important part of divine feminine, and also in a process of become who you love, especially if you want to do it in connection with your deep divine feminine. And in the current world nowadays, a regular woman may not be at all connected to their pleasure, because in many ways it can be also culturally not appropriate, depending now on the culture, of course, and that's very, very sad. So, as myself, who I grew up in a communist country where talking about faith, religion or pleasure was totally out of the question. It was something you grew up with. No one talked about it. It wasn't visible. And then it was very interesting so that was 2008. I was taking a plane from Norway to Estonia. I used to go to Norway then, still very often, sometimes every other month, because I lived in Norway for 7 years, and then I moved to Estonia for 4 years. Estonia is where I'm from, and those 4 years were very crucial, because lots of stuff happened which I wouldn't even have imagined in my wildest dreams. So I moved there 2007. I registered my company. I turned it into a 7-figure earning company within a year, and I only had like a couple of people helping me. And it was all organic. I didn't even use much of like paid marketing or anything. And I even had a waiting list, 6 months, people wanting to come to me. So I would have never imagined that would happen in Estonia. So part of that success was also me on that plane on my way from Oslo to Tallinn, reading a magazine, a Norwegian magazine. And because I lived in Norway for 7+ years, I speak and can read fluent Norwegian. I even studied it I studied in Norwegian in Oslo University for 3 years. So, and that's a very European thing. Most Europeans speak at least 2 to 5 languages. So I speak fluently too. Norwegian is getting very rusty. So universe send me a opportunity in Norway so I can brush it up. So reading that article was very exciting. So that article talked about little village close to Berlin in Germany, where people had joined consciously quite many years ago and wanted to create a village where people could unite sexuality and spirituality. And it had been there for a while, and it had created lots of influence and raptures, let's say, very politely put. And the village was now built onto which used to be like a military base, actually. So it was very interesting setup. So as I was reading this, and they were talking about the beautiful summer camp they have, which is like, I think in total like 3 or 4 weeks in total. So I looked at that, it's like, okay, that's a little too much, but I could make like 7 days work. So, and I started to look, when is that summer camp happening? And I think I was flying, that was in June, and the camp was happening in the second part of the July. So I was like, okay, great. So I get back home, I have a little time, and then I can go. So, and that was the kind of the flow I had. I could say from 2007 till 2017. I got an impulse, I tested it, and I jumped on it, and I did it. So, and that's the best natural way for a true projector to take action and create their life, projector in human design. So I didn't know it at the time, but now looking back, it's like, wow, that was perfect. So I show up in that beautiful village, and within the first days, somehow, I don't even remember all the details, I connected to a tantra teacher called Lokiano. And he at the time was in his 70s. Like, when you looked at him, he had softness in him, but he looked almost like a German military like person. Very rigid, and like, and saying that, I'm not like, judging. It's just like how it looked. And somehow we started talking and saying like, hey, let's do a trade. I don't know where that idea came from. So he did tantra massage, the whole body tantra massage on me, and I did like an energy session on him. And at the time I was a total masculine woman. So masculine woman is someone who is just in that creating mode, in production mode, and it's all about results and goals, and there's not much of the feminine consciously added to it. So, and that was how I functioned, that was how I created. And if there was a little bit of feminine flow, it was all not very consciously kind of put into the mix. So I didn't really know what it was to fully relax. And so after the massage with him, I almost couldn't walk. So let me tell you how this massage was done. So it was very sensual, whole body, mind, spirit way. Didn't He didn't touch my sexual organs. It was activating. So the whole body, but totally deeply relaxed. I had just like, I don't know, slept like 20 years. I had a little bit of like blush on my cheeks, and it looked so beautiful. And I was so blown away. I was like, wow, that's like amazing. And jokingly I said, wow, this is really cool. Like, we should start to, create classes and courses together. And I have a studio in Estonia. And you should just come and let's make it happen. And I didn't really, I don't know, somehow I just kind of threw it out. I didn't really believe it. And then I did my session on him, and I had a blast those 7 days. Lots of workshops, lots of new people, and I even, I think, got to the next level of sensuality and sexuality, because I had grown up with a grandmother who had instilled in my head that sexuality is something bad, as my mom was a woman who really liked pleasure, let's say, out of the normal circumstances. Then my grandmother was very afraid that I'll turn into that kind of woman as well. So, and she had very strict rules to keep me, safe, as I understand. So, but now I was in an environment where we had an evening where people could just like explore, and we had like a dating night in a love house, and by that time I already got to know some people, and I did some major discoveries about my sensuality, sexuality. I took it to another level I never even imagined, and it was such a crucial, important milestone in my whole activation of my deep divine feminine and becoming more who I love. Because with that came deconditioning of all those layers from my grandmother, from growing up in a communist country the way I did. And 1 year later I got Lokiano to Estonia and got my first group. I think we had 8 people, first group together, people who trusted me, and we started to do these tantra retreats in my studio in central Tallinn regularly, at times even twice a month. It was just unbelievable. So now you can imagine 50 years you are in a country where it's not allowed to even talk about sexuality, and now organizing classes and programs where people are actually going to the sauna all naked, and also doing massages on each other all naked. So, and no sex, no even like touching sexual organs. And we were doing the programs just one step at a time, and within those 2 years we didn't even get to the sexual organ massage and so on. And at that time Estonia was really at the verge of the sexual revolution as well. So many women started to actually do lingam and yoni massage, so sexual organ massage for women and men, and it just took the whole country with storm. It was just crazy. And as this was happening, our program, we needed to change, because I said, you know, the market is changing, people are changing, it is necessary to keep at it and then also adjust accordingly. And Luciano didn't agree. He was like, no, people are not ready to go deeper on that level, and I disagreed, and so we had one more class, and then I just had to let it go. And these 2 years with him had helped me, as I was co-creating these programs with him, had helped me to take layer by layer and break through all of these conditional things connected to body, sexuality, sensuality, and then also really start to reset the whole system. And what came out was like, wow, I'm a very sensual and sensitive energetically woman, and I can actually, when I put my energies work like that, I can actually really use the other part of my whole being, which I didn't even know was there. So I discovered that, wow, I am even also bisexual. I can also feel and love the pleasure with women. And that's like a complete taboo, especially in Estonian context. So first I was just exploring it with one friend, a girlfriend, and then I actually got a partner. For several years we were exploring it, and that was really going really serious and deep, and this relationship had a lot of possibility and power, but that partner didn't have the guts and courage to come out, so our relationship was totally secret for all these years, and it remained that. So there are only very few people who know who that secret woman was. And we even had one time of our lives where we were living together. I was together with my female partner and my male partner, and we lived together for a while, and that was like, wow, I would have never imagined that this would work, and this worked really well. When you have conscious people who talk really through all of the agreements, how you want this to work, it's possible. So yeah, so I learned a lot about sensuality, and what's really cool about being with a female partner is that you learn about polarities really well, because being in that relationship with the woman, I really learned how masculine my energy in its set was. So she was more feminine, and if you look at female partners or even male partners, there is always one partner who is more in the feminine and one who is more in the masculine. So I was the one more in the masculine. I was taking care of most of the stuff. I was the driver, I was the logistics manager, I was doing everything. That was, after some time you get kind of a little tired of it. But it was really interesting to observe there too. So now, sensuality and connecting to that on a deeper level is very, very important. So why? Because this is like sacred expression of embodied wisdom of pleasure. So this helps to heal the feminine, and also there is one really important element you have to have, which is the beautiful safety element and vulnerability, more safe you feel, more vulnerable you can be, more deeper you can go with your pleasure. And that's something what I learned because of my experience as a 6-year-old girl that has had really influenced my safety feeling with men. So all these 2 years with that particular teacher, I was learning about that. And later I actually got a tantra couple to teach, and we were doing stuff for about a year. So 3 years of my life I was like, tantra was my life. So day and night, and I did my own events in between, and it was just amazing. So what the pleasure and sensuality helps us with is reconnection with the body. And bodily sensation, especially if you are like a high achieving woman, this is something most high achieving women are not really connected to. So once we start to embrace sensuality, it allows to reconnect with our bodies and turn into our senses, experiencing pleasure, which is very essential for overall well-being and balance. And it helps us also to embody the feminine energy. It's a key aspect of feminine energy, representing receptivity, creativity, and intuition. So when we are in the pleasure mode, especially when we are in a mode where we are receiving pleasure, that's really helping to embrace that sensuality. And also that can connect us even more to our power and wisdom. The way I got connected to my authenticity and power through all these pleasureful experiences, plus teaching me also how to start to set boundaries also in an intimate world, that was like beyond anything. And they don't teach it in most schools, right? Then emotional healing. So sensuality can facilitate emotional healing, especially when it's done in safe space to explore and express our emotions and energies through our bodies. And it helps to release the tension, stress, trauma, and it just lets go all that crap. Also, it helps to learn us to self-express more and allow us to celebrate our femininity and unique essence. So whether it's like how we are wearing our clothes or jewelry or dance or movement, self-touch, we can really cultivate that deeper sense of self-love and acceptance. And that's so true. This is one of my experiences. And connection with others goes much better because sensuality, it helps us to get to those deeper connections, enhancing intimacy and communication. So when we start to embrace the sensuality, we can connect with partners on a more profound and deeper levels, which is creating more trust, empathy, and closeness. And that's something so many, especially high achieving women, are dreaming about, and oftentimes haven't really done much of it. So also, it is a good way to empower. Embracing sensuality is an act of self-empowerment, affirming the right to pleasure and self-expression. And that's really, really good because so many of us, as especially high-achieving women, we are maybe sometimes a little scared to, reclaim ownership of our bodies and desires. And it empowers us to set boundaries, prioritize our needs, and just start to talk more in respectful and loving, caring ways. What do we need and how? And that's something so many women are still, struggling with. So, all in all, sensuality is a very essential aspect of healing the divine feminine, and also in order to become who you love. Because when you are not loving yourself through that pleasure energy, what happens is that, you are disconnected from yourself. And I would recommend to go back and look at that safety video, which I did very deep, and see what else can you do there, how can you work on that. And it helps to reconnect to our bodies, embody feminine energy, facilitate emotional healing, express ourselves more authentically, deepen connections with others, and empower ourselves to live fully and authentically. So now, one thing I would say to be careful about is, over the years, when I was creating these programs together with these different teachers, I came across many other teachers who were not doing this work very authentically, and also are using Tantra and being the authority of the Tantra teacher in a very unethical way. So when you are looking for a teacher or a program, please find someone who has done a class or program with that teacher, to be sure that it is safe. So if you want to get more information about that, let me know, because I have had some weird experiences with that. So, and that has been globally also a known thing. So you have to learn to set boundaries, even when you are going to a session with a world-known Tantra teacher. It is you who are setting the boundaries for the session or whatever you are doing, and it's very important. So, and to be honest, in my case, my pleasure increased as soon as I managed to learn how to set my boundaries, because when I set my boundaries right, then I knew how to take the best care of me, and then I felt safe. So, and then everything was clear. There was nothing like going into something and then clearing and cleaning it up. And then cleaning it up because I didn't know how to do it right. So this is so important. And how can you start with it? Like, the very easy way is just, caress yourself, do a little self-massage, do breathing, connect to groups and people who are working with this. And I would really recommend to, as a woman, maybe even start with women's groups where they are working consciously with sensuality and pleasure. So that would be a nice first step. So I hope this was inspiring, and connection has been on and off. Hope it is still watchable. What a beautiful morning. So connect to your pleasure. It helps you to take your divine feminine to the next level, and believe me, once you do that, you become so attractive, not only to men and to that like higher level of men, but also to opportunities, because you are starting to embody the true feminine energy. So I really recommend you to do that. And that was also probably one of the keys how I was actually able to attract my spirit mate to my life, and why he also felt that strong attraction in the beginning, couldn't even put the word to it. And my neighbor in Mexico, just who lived down below, a man from England, one day came and said, I don't know, Crystal, what you're doing, but I feel like super strong pull towards you, even though you are not my type. And he wasn't my type either. And that was the result of me working with my pleasure and deep divine feminine energy and healing it and working on the polarities. So it really works. So yeah, put it to work and enjoy. Let me know what experiences you have. And if you watch it on replay, also put the replay down below. So, and we have a couple of free more days here in the group. If you have anyone else you would like to ask to join, please send them the link, and let's help them to the next level as well. So, aloha.